Great.
Hello and welcome to our Lunch and Learn with the Culture Equation founder, Hiam, on attracting, retaining, and possibly even ruining staff through culture. But before I get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land of which we meet. For me, that's the Gubbi Gubbi people. I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and for anyone on the line as well. Hiam, I'm going to pass over the baton to you to run this session. Hiam did mention this is going to be quite interactive. You may need a pen and paper or, your notes close by, and I'll hand over.
Thank you so much. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Oh, brilliant. Are we okay to be cameras on for this session? How's everyone feeling about that? Oh, lovely to see you, Johan. And Mark. How's everyone else? Is it, how do I pronounce your name? Ira, is it? Or have I got that right? Oh, fantastic. Welcome. And is it last person I see?
Maria. I do promote these as finishing lunch. I do promote them as like a lunch and learn, so you can sort of like nibble away if you like. But
yes, and that's still fine.
Okay.
Totally fine to nibble away. What are you all eating? Because I'm starving. Wouldn't mind a little fish bowl or something right now. So why are we all here?
Here to learn and have lunch. Quite literal.
Quite literal, here to learn. Is this a pain point for you right now, attracting, retaining talent?
Not so, well, potentially, but I think it's always something that you should take very seriously and look for new ideas and different ways of approaching it, I think. But yeah, hugely important for any company, no matter what size, but probably especially important as you grow and scale as a startup, to make sure you don't take your finger off the pulse.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. What about for the rest of the folks on the call?
Well, I think for us, we're sort of going, we're sort of about to start a bit of a growth and sort of going outside of just the founders of the business. And I think it's just important to learn and I guess get a bit of input on particularly making sure that you have that sort of culture of the business and get that right in the beginning.
Brilliant. Ira, for you?
Well, I've actually moved from sort of private sector to public sector, so I'm kind of learning the sort of difference in culture. So I was curious to attend the session to kind of learn what you can share with us. Just kind of see whether there are aspects of certain industries that have a certain culture. It'd be interesting to hear about that.
Oh, very good. Okay, so moving into this sort of startup ecosystem, is that right? Or?
Well, not really, because I'm in state government, so I'm just.
Oh.
Yeah, I will hopefully stay there for a while. I'm new there, but hope to stick around for a while. But just curious to learn. Yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Anybody else? We're hoping to do cameras on for this session. But if there's anybody else that'd like to tell us a little bit about why they were curious to join this session, what they're hoping to get out of it, and linking it to your situation, your team. Hi, Mike. Can't hear you.
Hi.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, we can hear you now.
I've got Peter with me as well. Hi.
Hi, Pete.
How you going? Yeah, we're pretty much a startup, or at least a young company, and we're looking at recruiting and really retaining staff, both essential to us, and we're actually just about to do a bit of a workshop on culture and our values as an organization. I mean, we've all got values, I guess, but we've sort of stated some values in terms of the company values. However, we want to do a refreshment of that and get the staff to buy into that and see what the staff actually, what's important to them. So this, to me, was a very timely workshop on culture and how to retain and recruit staff.
Fantastic. Yeah, great starting point. Your values, the intersection also between your personal values as founders and what will be your company values, and doing that with your team just guarantees buy-in from the get-go. So it's great. Well done. Anybody else want to tell us a bit more about why you're here and what you're hoping to get out of this session? Just
I was just going to jump in with a bit of the feedback that I get from different founders is that whole, it's hard to attract the right kind of talent. When your budgets are just small, or, when you expand from founders to other team members, it's like that is, that purpose and the values and that culture is inherent in who you founded an organization with. But it's sometimes not as easily to articulate that and translate that out in a way that's effective, because you've lived and breathed it, it, but how do you infiltrate that across a team, and also across a team that's more and more of the startups and scale ups in our community have remote teams. They're not all in the one office, they're like this on Zoom. So that's something that comes up quite a bit, and also the other part of it is just because you're saving the planet through your incredible climate tech, does that always translate to a really great culture in your team? No, I've worked for a few purpose organizations, and sometimes not always. Sometimes yes.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Does being a really purpose-driven, or purpose-led business actually mean you have a great culture by default?
Look at Tesla.
Yeah, right. So it's a really good point that you make there. Thank you. Scaling culture, especially in a sort of either remote first or hybrid work environment, such a good question mark there. And how do we afford the right talent, especially in today's very talent scarce market? What is it that what levers can we pull other than money? That be useful? Brilliant. Okay, let's get to it then. I'm going to go through a little bit of an agenda, which I just want to make sure it works for you all. And first of all, let's make sure you can see my screen. How's that? Are we good? Can we all see that? Fantastic. A couple of things we believe, first and foremost, at the culture equation is no two cultures are the same. We've been fortunate to work with quite a few different companies. Quite a few sit within the startup to scale up space. I think that's because of my background in Google, but it's not something I've purposely, I suppose, gone after, although I have a ton of fun working with startups and scale ups. But no two cultures are the same. It's a bit like your personality. It's either people will like it, like your culture, or not. And the more open you are about your kind of real, authentic, true culture, true self, the quicker you're going to attract the right people to your organization, and actually just let the folks that probably wouldn't work well for you pass you by. So it's a really good tool to save you time on the talent attraction side of things. Whether you like it or not, your culture already exists right now. It's just whether you've intentionally created it or not. But it exists. It fills this space and it's already there. Obviously heavily influenced and guided by you first and foremost, but then it takes on sort of the shadow personalities around it in terms of your first sort of founding team members. Culture takes time. That's the other thing I want you to know. If you do decide you want to thoughtfully design your culture and implement it and make sure it's baked into every facet of your employee life cycle, every tool, every ritual, every process, every system, it's going to take time, and it's never too early to start. So it's really great that you're here today to start thinking about this stuff. I'm very lucky to work with a great team of people. So depending on the clients that we work with, we pull together a 2 or 3 person team. They're all incredible consultants and facilitators, because what culture design usually entails is lots of discussion, lots of debate, lots of coming to great agreements, and lots of testing and learning. And so you need great facilitators and coaches to bring you on that journey. And I found some of the best people, some of them through my time at Google, and since I've left about, gosh, 5-6 years ago. And since I've left, I've also worked with a couple of VCs from a portfolio level. And I want to share with you later on some work that I did with Airtree, which might give you a simple hack to finding and keeping some great talent that's very culture aligned for you. So I'll just share that research at the end. But in terms of what I was hoping to go through with you in the next hour, one was just some new trends that you should be able to leverage. Once we know what they are, we'll talk about, well, how can we leverage these trends? Then I thought we could talk about what is culture simply, and what are the key pillars, and where do I start when it comes to defining culture? And then the last thing is that research and a little bit about what we do. So I'm going to pause there and ask you, is that okay? Are you happy with that? Is there anything else you wish I'd be covering? Because I'm open.
Good to me. Thank you.
Great, Mark. Thank you. Any other wishes from anybody on the call? Grantley, Maria, Elizabeth, Lachlan, Kirk. Welcome.
No, that all sounds good to me.
Sounds very good to me. I would love to hear a little bit as well about how you can create a great culture even when you have remote teams and teams from different countries or online.
Are you scaling internationally?
Yes.
Fantastic. Whereabouts, can I ask?
UK, and but we also have a team in India as well.
A UK and where?
We have a team in India as well.
India. Okay, very good. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks. That's a good one. We'll definitely cover that for sure.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. Any other requests as we go through this? Okay. Now, how are you all feeling about a game to get through the trends rather than just me list off a load of trends that I think you need to be mindful of? Do we all know how to play heads or tails? You know, that game where you get a question, there's two answers. Option A is heads, option B is tails. Yeah? Do you know that one?
Yep.
Okay. Now, the only thing is it requires you to stand up, because once you're out, you have to sit back down again. So you kind of have to
How would you know we're not standing?
You have to stand. I know, Kirk, you're the only one that's not on camera, so don't cheat. But everybody else, if you could, or everyone could stand up, and we're ready to play.
I'm on the move, so if I sit down, I will no longer be on the move. So I might have to.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll let you tap out whenever you
Thank
whenever you decide that it's you've got the wrong answer. Okay. So first question: the current state of unemployment is either A, the current rate of unemployment in Australia is either A, 3.5% or B, 4.9%. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everybody at the same
Sorry,
time.
which was which? The
Heads is
A is hands
3.5,
on?
yeah, heads is 3.5% or B is 4.9%. All right, I can see everybody. So anybody with their hands on their tail can sit down. It is actually 3.5%. So everyone who put their hands on their heads is correct. A follow-up one to this is the lowest unemployment rate since what year? A, so heads, 1974, or B, hands on tail, 1998. Okay. Again, anyone with hands on tails, sit down. It's actually since 1974. There's a trend, a big one, right? The lowest unemployment rate we've seen since 1974. All right. Gen Z will make up 27% of the workforce by 2025. They will have on average, so that was just a statement, A, so hands on head, 5 careers and 17 jobs, or B, 7 careers and 21 jobs. 5 careers and 17 jobs. 7 careers and 21 jobs. Where are we at? Has everyone voted? Has anyone got hands on heads at all? No, well then you're all wrong. Let's sit down. So they are going to have 5 careers and 17 jobs. How interesting, right? So this is a really interesting one. They're going to move around a lot and they're coming into the workforce at a rapid rate. So between now and 2025, they will make up 27% of the workforce. Something to think about. They will need career adventure. According to Glassdoor, I'm going to just let you guys vote on this is to continue and just for a bit of a laugh. According to Glassdoor, what percentage of employees would consider changing jobs if offered a role within a company with an excellent reputation? A is 78%, B is 92%. You can pop it in chat. A is 78%, 92% is B. Yeah. Anyone who said B is correct there, 92%. Something is not connecting for people in the workplace today, right? That's what that's telling me. According to AB, and it also is telling me people are constantly kind of having a look around, seeing what's out there. According to ABS data, is it 1 in 10 or 1 in 5 people that changed jobs in the last year? A, 1 in 10, B, 1 in 5. A lot of people going for the 1 in 5 option, but it is actually 1 in 10. This is still the highest rate of mobility since 2012. Now, this is across sector. I have a feeling it's much higher in tech, but it's just something that is across all sectors. So a lot of mobility. Anyone want to hazard a guess at the top 5 reasons why people have changed jobs? What's the, and again, you can shout out or throw it into chat. What's the top 5 reasons people have changed? Literally in order of ranking. What's the top 1 you would imagine? Mark, thank you for throwing in flexibility. A lack of real climate action. Culture, politics, stress, lack of flexibility. Thanks, Johan. More pay, flexibility, Grantley culture. Great. Change. Change. So who said change and what do you mean? Just fancy to change, or is it that they have change fatigue from their current organization?
More opportunity, do something different.
Just more opportunity. Very good. Okay. I'll give you the 5, and these this came from a piece of research from NAB, funnily enough, but the top 5, A is lack of personal fulfillment. B is lack of purpose or meaning. So there's 2 things there, lack of personal fulfillment and lack of purpose or meaning. C is career limitations. D is mental health concerns, burnout, a lot on that. And the last one is poor pay or benefits, the last one. So there's an interesting trend for you all to consider, especially with the top 2. All right, lots and lots of things that we've unpacked here. Last question I'm going to ask you is Gallup's latest State of the Workforce report shows that A, 27% of Aussie workforce are engaged in their work, or B, 17% of the Aussie workforce are engaged in their work. What are your thoughts? 27% A or 17% B?
Sorry, was that 27% engaged or not engaged?
Engaged. They're actually engaged in their work. Or is it 17% that are engaged in their work?
Pretty low either way.
Very low either way, right? And a lot of you are hopeful with the A, but it's actually B. Only 17% of the workforce in Australia are currently saying that they are engaged in their work. What do you see this as for you?
Opportunity.
Huge. Huge opportunity for you. Massive. So let's get into it. I want to kind of think, I want you to think about this question around imagine you were being headhunted, okay? And you're being lured away from being the entrepreneur founder of your own company, right? Somebody has come to you and said, I'm going to give you the best job in the field that you want. I'm going to take money off the table. You're going to be well paid. I want you to jump into thinking, or just jot down on a piece of paper, what's the top things you would ask for outside of money? What are the top 2 or 3 things you would ask for outside of money? No need to pop it into chat just yet, because what I'm actually going to do is throw you all into some small groups to have a good discussion about this. Only 5 minutes, but I'd be curious in those groups, are there common things that come up? So no need to pop it into chat just yet. I'm going to throw you into some breakout rooms. Talk amongst yourselves just for 5 minutes about your top 3 or 4 non-negotiables. I will not move unless I have these things. Cannot be anything to do with money. We've taken that off the table. You've got what you want there. All right. I'll ask one person from each group if you could just self-assign yourself as the person to take down any top themes that overlap or come up more than once. So when you get into the rooms, if somebody could just say, I'll take down the top themes. All right. Let's pop you into, how many do we have on the call, Charlotte? I can't quite see.
Looks like 9.
9. Okay, so we'll go into 3 rooms. And they're assigned automatically. And I'm just opening the rooms now. And I'll give you 1 minute to let you know when to come back. 1 minute before you rejoin. Lachlan, I know you're walking. Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know if you wanted to join a room or did you want to hang here for a minute or 2? Shouldn't be too long. I can't hear you. I'm not sure. Oh, sorry, can't hear you, Charlotte. Oh, are you? Oh, there. Sorry.
No, I saw your inbox and it made me feel better about mine.
Where? Oh, 19,600. I never delete. I should really.
Yeah, I know.
Never even look at it. It's like my phone. I can't even update my phone because I never delete my photos. And I've far too many. I don't even know. Oh, somebody's in the.
Oh, Alex, yeah, he really wanted to come too. So I'll admit him.
I will ask him to join maybe room 3 in a minute. I'll tell him what's going on.
Mm.
Hi, Alex. Can you hear us?
Hi, how you going?
Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining.
All right. So did I miss it?
Yeah, you're probably wondering where everybody is. They're just in breakout rooms and they're discussing this question. So they've just left. You can join one of the rooms. I'll pop you in now. But the question we asked everyone to talk about is, if you were being headhunted, and let's imagine it was just an amazing offer, somebody was getting you to join their startup or their organization, and they totally met your requirements on money and package and all of that, what top 2 or 3 things would be non-negotiable for you in order to join? So money's off the table. What else would you need? 100% need. Is that okay?
Yep, sure.
Fantastic. Well done on being such a great.
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Here you go. Joining room 2.
Okay.
There you go. I always find this one fascinating because I've run it over and over and over again with so many groups and the same stuff comes up.
I'm on mute, I bet. Yeah, it's funny because I mean, yeah, that's very similar to a lot of research in terms of like consumer behavior too. It's like they're swapped to a purpose-driven or purpose-led, or product for similar quality and price.
100%.
And it's the same with who you work for. I've always worked for purpose-led organizations, so that's just easy for me. But it's funny now that I have a family, I'm like, I also need that flexibility because I have kids.
Ain't that the truth? It's a huge one. It already came up like the second I said it. Flexibility just came up.
Yeah. Well, I think because yeah, I mean, I know people who absolutely love their job and had amazing jobs, didn't even have kids actually. And after COVID, when they were forced to go back into the work, like, go back into the office and things, they're like, no, I'm really loving this hybrid. And yeah.
No, I know, right? And yet I think because of my job, everybody often says, what are people doing more of? What are they, I am seeing some good examples of those that are going into office, but doing it in a very thoughtful way. So they're not going full-time back into office.
Yeah.
But they are saying where you in your team, it makes sense. Let's kind of self-organize. So let's say team 1 wants to come in. These are often companies that have 100 people, but only 50 desks in it, or 50, capacity.
And it saves so much in real estate and everything.
Exactly right.
Like before COVID, there was like Harvard Business Review's, research and articles about that. It's just like it demonstrates trust, and it's outcome focused then. And so it's like, you can work from home because I trust you'll do the right thing.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
And you're like, oh, thank you.
You trust me? What? I'm an adult that can, have huge mortgage or, look after kids or look after elderly parents, and I go into work.
Just good work. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden you don't trust me to do my work. But no, it's also working out for those that definitely are doing it in a thoughtful way in terms of return to office in a way that it's not just like we expect you to be back 3 days a week and we don't care which days that is. That doesn't work because you're in the office, half your team are out. You end up on a bunch of Zooms all day. You wonder why you fought the traffic for what? Like to sit there and be on Zoom all day. But for those that have really worked it out, it's like, we're going to do our annual kickoff. We're going to do it in a beautiful location. We're going to do collaboration days. We're going to do wellness days in the office. We're going to do this, that, and the other. So they're really thinking it through. And it's all about connection, relationships, supporting one another. Actually, a lot of people say they don't get a lot of work done when they go into the office, which is hilarious.
I know, but that's a really important element of it. I know my partner works in advertising, and it was always like, freebies in the afternoon and all these things, and just just don't have that culture anymore because nobody comes to the office. It's like, I'll be thoughtful about it. Exactly.
That's nice. I'm going to just tell them it's 1 minute left.
I'm gonna put some more water.
Great. Yeah, they should start popping back any minute now. And we will do a little debrief. Welcome back. How was that? Good.
Very good.
Good. We'll just get everybody back, and then maybe we'll have you guys be the first to kick us off with your common denominators or common themes. All right. Is everyone back? I can't tell. When I share screen, I can't see everybody, but I don't think they are, right? No. Good time to let my dog back in. 1 second. Welcome back. I think we're all back, are we? Fantastic. Okay. The first group that rejoined, could you tell us a little bit about what came up that was common amongst you all?
Sure. I think the standout for sure was sort of, you know, aligning with purpose and the mission of the organization. Second one being around flexibility, whether that's, you know, having a flexible workplace or having a workplace that maybe doesn't sort of lock you in if you do want to leave in the future as well. But I think both for me and Maria being founders of a business, we probably both, you know, said that, you know, it'd be pretty tricky to get us back into the corporate world when you sort of have the, you know, when you've gotten a good taste of what it's like to be a founder, and if that sort of fits with your personality.
Okay, fantastic. Would that be because you like the autonomy of being a founder?
I think for me, it's probably, you know, both the sort of the control of your own destiny kind of thing, and fulfillment in you know, in the successes, but also sort of learning from some of the things that don't go too well. But yeah, I think just being able to run your own thing and seeing all the positives out of that.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you. Another group, any group would like to share anything that came up for you that was.
We all agreed that being in a great team was important, and working with good people.
Yeah.
And that we all wanted to feel like we're beyond having aligned with the purpose and the mission, doing something exciting.
Okay, so
It
this
was
is,
a bit more.
yeah. But also +1 to the purpose and the mission, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, this came up again. Fantastic. Anything else?
There was some mention of sharing values and working for an ethical organization.
Tell us more about what that means, working for an ethical organization. What does that mean?
Well, for me, if you working in a way that doesn't do any damage to other people would be a part of it. Making a positive contribution to the planet. We're all in climate and climate tech and clean tech. I mean, I think everybody's trying to aim to
Do you know
improve the world and do it at a scale that's meaningful.
Fantastic. Thank you.
My comment on the ethical organisation was
Yes.
around being proud to work for them. So you're really happy to work there. Your values and their values are aligned. They don't do dodgy stuff.
Yeah.
It's under the table that you find out a couple of years later that they've been doing slave trading or sort of sweatshops or all that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to put that as 2 separate points. So working for an ethical organization, don't do dodgy stuff.
Yeah. That's a technical way of putting it.
I like the technical way. Yeah, fantastic. Or that you don't find out later that they did dodgy stuff, which yeah, it's a good one. Okay, thank you. Anything more from group 3? What have you got?
So that was me and Lachlan.
Yeah.
So I think we both agreed, we both recently joined teams and left other teams to join the teams that we're currently in.
Oh.
So we're definitely not looking to leave the teams we're in, but then we reflected on why it was we are with the teams we currently are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some sort of autonomy, flexibility was definitely key. Another one was purpose, meaning, doing something sustainable. And then
So there's a +1 here again to purpose, meaning. Is there a difference between purpose and meaning? And you said another one to flexibility, I think.
Yeah, it could be similar to what you said before. There could be the individual meaning, and then purpose of the organization could be 2 separate ones, but obviously alignment between the 2.
Yeah.
And then the final one was similar to what's been said already, just being around awesome humans and having a bit of fun and finding that kind of alignment with other people. Lachlan, did I miss anything?
Spot on, I think. You've done very well there, Mark. Yeah, made me look good, so thank you.
Brilliant, thanks. Great list. I guess we asked this question a different way to a previous group last week. We asked it in this way: what makes you happy at work? Right? And we ran a little Mentimeter and we got these results. Can you see them? Okay. You want me to blow them up a bit?
No, that's it.
Do you see the similarities with what you've come up with in terms of your non-negotiables and what they've come up with in terms of what makes them happy at work? If you're happy at work, do you tend to stay longer?
Yeah.
So have we cracked the retain bit?
One would hope.
How much do all these things cost?
Well, most of
Cost
them
time
would.
and effort.
Yeah,
Probably not as
well, that's
much
what I was
effort.
going to say.
Say that one more time. Time and effort, is it?
Yeah, I think like with anything, I think all these ones, if you don't put the effort into making sure you're keeping on top of, making sure everyone's happy, the purpose, the team's working well together effectively, communicating well, etc., they will fall apart, I would imagine. It's a lot of effort in time and then a huge amount of cost if you get it wrong.
Absolutely. What's your role in all of this as founders? Or can we just delegate this? Oh, can we just delegate all of this to people and culture leader? Maybe that's the second person we hire and we can just delegate it. What do you think? Yeah, it's a good idea.
No, the person at the top, at the start, the founders have got to set the tone, surely, and you've got to lead. You've got to live it.
You think? Would it work if you didn't?
No.
It doesn't work at home. So,
Good analogy. Thanks, Grantley. Mike, did you have something to add there? Pete.
Oh, no, we agree. It's got to come from us.
Oh, we agree. We both worked for companies where it has been delegated.
Yeah.
And we were just having a laugh at that. But also it's consistency is the other word to put in this. So when we're talking about these being happy at work, it's that consistency of application.
Yes.
Sometimes there can be too many grey areas that become the norm. So if you're consistently applying your values or that approach in a business, it's just part of the day. It doesn't really change, but that takes effort and time.
Does, doesn't it? Huge.
And
Huge.
it's also got to be genuine, because a lot of organizations I've worked for have mission statements and value statements, but they're not really genuine. They're just, for their reports, the corporate reports. I think there's people see through falseness, and it's got to be a genuine culture.
100%. I think there's a stat around that, which is really interesting, which is, let me find it because I don't want to misquote it. I think it's really important for what you've just said. Currently, 23% of employees turn over in their first year. Do you think what you're talking about might have something to do with that? The kind of sold a dream, maybe on one side, it doesn't quite turn out on the other. I'm not sure actually, because I just know the stat, but I don't know why. I'm just guessing, hypothesizing. You tell me your thoughts. 23%, that's a lot.
A lot. It's probably got something to do with it. A lot of startups fail as well, so maybe that's another reason. If your company's gone bankrupt, but I think that you've probably hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and of course that's how you can head to ruin. If you think about a startup and what that costs you, if people leave within the first year, what it's cost you to find them, what it's cost you to onboard them to the point where they're finally giving back to the organization, and then they leave, that can actually really hurt your business. really hurt your business. So it's such a good point that you make there. And then of course, if other people who are in the organization see so many people leaving, it just has this terrible knock-on effect. So we could definitely see you heading towards ruin, or companies like yours head towards ruin, if this isn't something that's front and center. Okay, so what can we do about it? One of the folks at this event talked about his non-negotiables as being my own VIP. I need to be values aligned, I need to have impact, and I need to work with great people. And I think this is the trifecta that you've all just identified just now in your breakout rooms, as you've talked a lot about, I need values and purpose alignment and meaning in my work. You've talked about impact, and definitely by default, you guys can have a lot of impact on the world, it'll do a lot of great things, ethical things. And you've also talked about people and the team and having fun, and how that's what it's all about at the end of the day, right? And again, how it can be quite difficult in a hybrid working environment, but if you crack it, you can do so well. So this is something just to keep in mind. How do I help people in my organization with this VIP thinking? So here's my top 3. I've thrown tons and tons of stats at you, but I think these are the top 3 trends that you should consider leveraging immediately. And it's something you can all do very quickly. The first one we talked about is 85% of employees are unsure or disagree that they can live their purpose in their work. And I think that purpose is twofold. One is personal purpose and impact that I want to have on my career, for example. What's the next big thing in my career I want to hit? It could be that I'm moving from, for example, one role that I know really well, and I want to dabble in a new type of role. You know, how do I get that new experience? How do I get that exposure? It could be that I want to travel internationally. I mean, I can't remember who it was here that just talked about, Lachlan, was it you, opening up offices, UK, India? That in itself could be very exciting for people from a personal impact and a personal career impact point of view. So connecting to their personal whys, why are you even thinking about moving? What's the kind of next step in your career? How can I help you achieve that through our organization is really important. And then the purpose around impact, and what's the impact they want to have on the world? What's the legacy they want to leave through your organization is another important one. And defining purpose, which is very different to mission. Don't even get me started, but purpose, mission, totally different from one another. Okay, and definitely worth working on both, but make sure you understand the components of both and why they're different. 92% of employees would consider changing jobs if offered a role within a company with an excellent reputation. You are all starting from a great baseline. I'm sure probably none of you have any Glassdoor reviews or Google reviews just yet. So if you think about it, you already have a good reputation, right? You don't have any no bad reviews is great, you know, and a lot of organizations are battling against terrible sort of Glassdoor reviews. And you know, the world of work today is really transparent. And the first thing people do when they're thinking about joining an organization is talk to other people that they know that might have worked there or might know you, the founders. They do their due diligence. They really do a lot of research. So I think being very clear in what you stand for personally as a founder is really important. Having one-on-one conversations with people, key people that will be joining your team, you being that person that goes front and center out to the market looking for the right people rather than too much emphasis on your talent acquisition partner. And really keeping that as long as you can, you know, keeping that role of really finding the right people is so important. And keeping an eye on your reputation and how people are talking about you is also really, really important. The first thing I hear founders say when they get a bad review is, oh, it was just a disgruntled ex-employee. Okay, but respond and talk to them through the platform. You know, offer another point of view. So have that two-way conversation. And then the last one that I think is a massive opportunity is just people don't seem to be engaged in their work now. So that's a lot of people out there thinking about what next for them. And you could be that attractor of the talent with those intangibles that really cost you nothing. So I want to share that simple hack or research that I did for Airtree. So Airtree came to me and said, you know, at a portfolio level, we have over 900 open roles. This is really hurting our portfolio. It's hurting us in terms of momentum, innovation. Obviously, the current people in those organizations are facing burnout because there's so many holes and gaps. So how do we fill these roles? And obviously, I'm not a recruiter. I specialize in culture for scale-ups. But on further sort of discovery, I learned that it's really all about finding top talent. Because if you can find the top people in their field who, for some reason, are really attracted to an organization for all those intangibles that we've just talked about, they bring with them a tribe. Does that make sense? So we had this little hypothesis, but what we didn't know was, okay, what attracts highly skilled, they called it X factor talent or candidates, what would attract them into these small startups and scale-ups? What did they want in their careers? And so they had no clue. And I said, well, if you could provide me with some of these folks, I could go and ask them for you. And so I did a whole bunch of interviews with heads of engineering, heads of product, CROs, CTOs in all these companies. I was led directly to the kind of those X factor candidates that when they're in their position, they tend to bring with them the people that follow them as an individual, right? And what we learned, can you all see this? These are some verbatim quotes. Top performers want a culture that is high impact, where they can solve big problems and at the same time build a great team. They really want to solve the world's most pressing problems. This is what these people want first and foremost. And I think that's something you can all offer them, correct? That'd be right. I really like building teams and building cool culture, but I need a why, a purpose. I need to have impact. So these two things seem to come literally right next door to each other, as you can see in those first two sentences. I need to have impact, I need to have purpose, but I also love building a cool team and great culture, which is probably why they bring with them a tribe, because those folks have experienced that in previous organizations. They talked about some things that worry them, like a leadership team that isn't moving in the same direction will be a threat to your success. So they assess you first and foremost as founders and as a leadership team. The one thing that kept coming up that they're assessing founders for is whether you're willing to take off some hats. What does that mean?
Share responsibility and giving up, you know, part of your baby.
Part of your baby, right? It's very hard. And you just, you capture that so well. If you get your core values wrong, they talked about that misalignment, things between what you say your values are, and then you get in there and they're not exactly that way. That authenticity is missing. That they know that there is no way that you're going to attract talent. And so they're testing you for that through the interview process, what you say your values are and how you actually behave. And an innovative product isn't enough to grow your company at scale. So those are verbatim quotes, but when I counted up the themes and I did a little bit of number crunching, these are their personal drivers. So this is what came up the most for those people. They first want to achieve their personal goal, and that's very subjective. Whatever that is, you're going to have to unearth it from them, like we just talked about. They want to have a positive impact on the world. They want to solve spiky problems, as one of them talked about. Another theme that came up was around professional mastery. They talked about how even though you are senior in your role, and very senior, some of them, it doesn't mean I want to stop learning. So I need a place where I'm going to continue learning, and I'm going to be given those learning opportunities. Again, something that's really, you know, almost free. Equity, they talked about having a chunk of the pie, and that if you work for a venture-backed startup, it's a whole different beast, and that you know, they need to have some skin in the game. And then the last one that seemed to come up a lot was building that thriving team culture. So these are the things that if you want to attract top talent, it doesn't actually, a lot of them talked about taking pay cuts for the right company. They're not really driven by money as much as you would think. Any questions on that?
This can be super hard, I guess, for tech roles where in a startup, I mean, it's not just, you know, what we can offer them isn't like 10, 20K less than what they would earn at the Googles of the world. It's, you know, the kind of salary differential is significantly bigger. So, I mean, how often do we actually see these sort of factors overcoming that?
A lot. And one of them that I talked to had taken 4 pay cuts in a row. Their first job was in Amazon. And that really taught them why they didn't want to work with another Amazon. Sorry, they didn't want to work for another Amazon type again. And they kept going kind of down the track in terms of smaller companies, but more purpose, smaller companies, higher levels of meaning and purpose in my role. And so they'd taken 4 consecutive cuts, which was really interesting to me. Yeah, not all of them did, but quite a few. Equity chunks would have gone up. Yeah, for sure. So that's a little bit about what I learned in terms of the simple work that we do that we think is like the most important areas that you need to focus on. I've talked about purpose. You've talked about purpose. You've got to define your purpose. You've got to define your values, and don't forget your leadership principles. So that's 3 different pillars of your culture that you must define and you must embed into every single ritual, every single system, every single employee experience possible. Everything needs to go from being very kind of almost manual to self-evolving. Does that make sense? And there's a real process behind that. We personally like to use the same design thinking process that you would for creating a product as you would for creating culture. And we know that unless it's lived and breathed first and foremost with your leadership team, then we know that it has no chance of survival. So we could work a lot with leadership teams to build psychological safety and bring them from forming and storming through to norming and performing. So that's what we do in a nutshell. If you're wondering about the difference between these purpose, values, leadership principles, I'll send you these slides and you can have a little look at the descriptions under each. And I'll also send you this video where Reed Hastings talks about leadership principles at Netflix, and they're very different to their values, just so you can get an example, if that's useful. We obviously, this is all we do. There's 6-month programs of work that we run for our clients, and we start with very small, 20 people teams all the way up to 200-300. So if you're interested, you're more than welcome to jump on a call with me about one of those. Last few questions before we jump off.
I just want to ask another question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of what we've been talking about here, people look for that purpose, and if I kind of go back to your, slide with all the words around what makes people happy, I mean, a lot of positive things in there, team, friends, exciting, fun, etc. I mean, something that I've found that is that it's important to really reinforce standards as well, in terms of what you actually expect from employees. And I mean, sometimes it can feel like you're being a bit of a fun sucker, when you do that. And that can, it's a fine balance to then still retain the culture whilst also actually enforcing, things like performance standards and the like. I mean, do you have any tips there on just balancing those, so those kind of conversations when you do have to have them, they don't detract from culture?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thanks for asking that. A couple of things. When you are defining your values, you need to also define the virtues, so the behaviors that sit underneath each and every one of those. Another item that you need to define are shadow behaviors. What are the things that we need to actively move away from doing, that we know people might inadvertently interpret from these values and these virtues? So I think the first thing I'd say is be explicit. You cannot be overly explicit with these things, with these pillars. And the second thing I often say to founders is to make the hard calls early. So if you are finding that somehow, even though you've got lots of checks and balances in the recruitment process around hiring for the right culture ad, you might let somebody through, which ends up being a real, just not the right fit for your company. Might be a great fit for somebody else's company and somebody else's culture, but not right for you. And I really believe you need to make the hard calls early, especially the younger you are as an organization, because it can cause havoc.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. We didn't get quite to hybrid working and how to scale culture across different countries and regions. There is some really good stuff on this, but it is again about having those conversations about those behaviors and making sure that they do translate to local culture. So for example, if one of your values is around purposeful honesty, which is actually one of our values here at the Culture Equation, one of the virtues is around giving good feedback early, not waiting months and months to give somebody feedback, or at a performance review cycle 6 months down the track. Don't save it for that length of time. But feedback itself means different things in different cultures. So if I opened an office in Japan, feedback would look very different in Japan to how it looks in Australia, to how it looks in the UK. So really translating your values into the local flavor and allowing those local offices to come up with what makes sense for them. Otherwise, you risk them just ignoring what you've kind of created in that founding team. So that would be my advice there. Does that make sense for whoever was looking into how do we scale culture across regions? Awesome. Well, I'm going to end it there. I will send you this short deck. I will send you my details. You're more than welcome to pop in 30 minutes with me if you'd like to go deeper on any of these things.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, we're always looking for those like the hacks, you know, but you've got to get straight to the root of it and establish a good culture from the start. And we can see the benefits that are out there because of that. Thank you so much for this engaging and interactive workshop here. And I'm sure you'll get a lot of hit ups through that Calendly link. So you can share with me or and I can share out through our Slack channels. So thank you so much for joining today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks all.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Bye. Thank you.